Hey guys, welcome back again from Tampa Bay. Today I'm going to show you at least two very easy modifications and changes you can make to your existing bike that I absolutely guarantee you are going to increase the enjoyment and performance out of your motorcycle. And that is simply continuing on with setting up your bike. Too many motorcyclists, I'm willing to bet the vast majority of motorcyclists out there, are under the misnomer that their motorcycle is set up correctly or the best way or the way it should be, completely out of the box. There are way too many things on your bike that are changeable, customizable to fit you as best as possible that people just aren't touching. Now, I've gone through previous things such as setting up your hand controls and your foot controls. I'm not talking about spending money either. I'm talking about just changing what your bike comes with. Now today I'm specifically talking about changing the geometry of your bike. That means the angle, front to rear, of your motorcycle, how it actually canters on the road, dramatically changes how it performs and handles. Not only going straight down the road, but how it goes into corners, how it holds a corner, how it feels, how easy it is to handle the bike. Rake is the angle of the front end of the bike, and generally you'll see a spec as it comes delivered from the factory, but a lot of people don't know that's changeable. Generally, the less rake you have, the steeper the angle of the front to the road, the easier your turn-in is going to be, the sharper it's going to steer, the easier it's going to want to flick from side to side, fall into corners. And there's definitely a sweet spot there between how easy it is and being a little unstable. I've found my sweet spot, and I want to share what I've done here so you can play around with yours and duplicate it. And this goes for any bike out there, not just what I happen to be riding here. Now, on this particular bike, I've fully upgraded the suspension, front and rear, and I have on the rear a full Penske shock setup, and I have height adjustment on that shock, so I can change the ride height on the rear. I'm not going to talk about that because I know the vast majority of people don't have that available. That's not something that comes stock on pretty much every bike out there. That's only an aftermarket thing. Luckily, you don't need that to get a really good effect. So what I'm talking about today is just changing your front geometry. And that's simply dropping the front end or raising the forks in your triple trees. A relatively small change can have a big difference on the road. What I've done to this is simply raised my forks or dropped my front end 1 centimeter, just 10 millimeters, and it's made a noticeable difference in all areas of the bike on the road. Now, what you have to be careful of when you do this is your clearance in the front. If you've installed any accessories, I have the optional Yamaha fog lights on this model, and I have barely enough clearance. You need to make sure that your suspension travel isn't going to eat up your available space and crush your fender, for example. I barely have enough room on this, and I wouldn't even be comfortable running it like this if I still had the stock forks. But this suspension is so much better sprung to my weight, I'm not worried about it. So my tips for experimenting with this: number one, it's very easy to do this alone if you just take your time. The only thing you have to be careful of is going too far and then needing someone else to help pick up the bike to go the other way. What I suggest doing is loosening one set of triple clamps at a time, and then when you get to the very last screw, usually you're going to have 4 that you need to undo, sometimes 8. Let the bike slowly slip down and get it to where you want, and then tighten it back up. If you loosen everything up too far, you're going to overshoot where you need to be. And the problem is then you have to lift the weight of the bike to get them to go in the opposite direction. Believe me, you need somebody else or a front stand to do that. Now, that's obviously going to vary bike to bike exactly what bolts you need to loosen to do, but there's nothing magical about it. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm sensitive enough to feel a 2 or 3 millimeter difference. Frankly, going the 1 centimeter, as I've shown here, is where I started to feel a good difference. So that's where I ended up. Some of you with more sensitive bikes or a lot more experience in the way your bike feels, say if you do track time, you may very well feel a 2 or 3 mil difference. Now, how far you can go completely depends on your bike, and that's up to how much suspension travel and space you have available. I can't tell you what your safe point is. You're going to have to look that up for your particular bike. I'm limited, like I said, by my accessories I've mounted, and luckily I felt the difference here at this point, so I'm good exactly where I'm at. Your results may vary. The other very simple and free mod you can do is adjust your bars. Your bar position and angle also plays a very important role in how your bike handles, how you feel on the bike, how comfortable it is, how easy it is to throw around, and again, a little change can make a huge difference. On this particular bike, I have them dropped as low as possible. And that's simply going to be limited by how much clearance you have to your tank with your hand on them. Don't forget you need clearance for your fingers and thumb and all that. Lock to lock. Just simply rotating these bars a few degrees. Just a few degrees from where they were delivered from the factory made a huge difference. Now, if that's not enough for you, you can obviously change out the bars. Put on a different width, put on a different angle, put on a different drop. There are lots of different options, but the stock bars you have, oh, this is a bumpy road, may be very good for you. These are a very good compromise for me. I wouldn't want them any farther forward just because it would affect the angle of my torso. This is a very good everyday lean angle for me. It's slightly forward, it's sporty enough. I have no problem with it. But I want it to be super comfortable to go all day, like I sometimes do on this. You may want clip-ons. You may want a very sporty ride. That's completely up to you. Maybe you want a straighter back and you want some bar risers. You want some bars that pull you back. Maybe the angle of the grips themselves aren't quite right for you. That's completely up to you. But if you can make your stocks work for free, it's certainly worth loosening 4 bolts or so, rotating your bars, checking your lock-to-lock clearance, and going from there. You might not have to spend a dime. Now, don't forget, those are just some things that you can adjust on your bike completely free as it's delivered from the factory. A lot of bikes have suspension adjustability that you absolutely must tune to your weight. Adjusting your controls to the proper angles is very important to your hand comfort. Adjusting your foot controls to your height and seating position is also very critical and free. Believe me, if you tune all of this in to your specific needs, it will transform your bike because nothing is delivered off the showroom to work well with everybody. That's it. Hope this helps somebody, saves you some money, helps you enjoy your motorcycle and wring out all the performance you can out of it. See you next time.